If you're a new agent, you might feel more comfortable working with buyers than you do with sellers. And you might even feel a little intimidated going to your first listing appointment. Well, if that's the case, this episode is for you. I'm going to walk you through the steps so that you can confidently step into your first listing appointment and win it. I'll help you approach the sellers with ease so that you can understand their needs so that you can best serve them. I'm going to give you all of the steps you need to win your first listing appointment. Stick around. Welcome to the Agent Rise podcast, where we celebrate that you are unique and one of a kind. Instead of asking you to do things that make you cringe, we help you create a clear, personalized plan that aligns with you. No more overthinking or wasting time, just a straightforward path to building a real estate business you love. Welcome, Risers. It's that time once again for the Agent Rise podcast. I'm your host, Neil Mathwig, and today I want to help you become more confident as a listing agent. If you're a brand new agent, you might have fallen into the same trap that I did in the beginning of my career, and that is that I didn't want listings. I was too intimidated by sellers. I had thought, well, the sellers have already been through a transaction. They probably are interviewing other agents. How am I even going to compete? I was afraid of sellers, and subconsciously I kind of pushed them away. And I remember a conversation that I had with my manager way back in the day. Joe Evans was her name. Rest in peace, Joe. Amazing woman in my life, and helped me in so many different ways. And there was a meeting that I had with Joe. I was a brand new agent, and I was telling her that I was going to focus on working with buyers only. I was going to become a first-time buyer specialist. And she said, Neil, that's a great idea. However, I think you're really going to hinder your growth. And I really think you're going to find that you're going to become a great listing agent if you just put your mind to it. And she thought that if I worked only with first-time home buyers, that anybody that would go to sell wouldn't hire me because I was a first-time home buyer specialist. And she got me to understand that it was just my confidence. I just wasn't confident in working with sellers. I was confident in working with buyers. I felt like I had that down, and I felt like I was great at working with buyers. But it was so true for me to realize that it was just my confidence level. Once I started stepping into the process and understanding how to put a marketing presentation together, how to handle a listing appointment, and then I just kept getting better and better at it over the years. And so what I want to share with you here is I want to help you grow in that confidence. I want to help you as a brand new agent realize that you can become a great listing agent. And there's steps to this, and I put it all together in a PDF. I've got it all set up as a Google Doc. You can get that PDF. It's the step-by-step guide that I'm talking about. Just text the word listing to 833-500-1135. Again, text the word listing to 833-500-1135, and I'll reply with a Google Doc that has a full report that will help you step into your listing appointments. I'm going to cover a little bit about that today so you can get an idea of what's in the report. And really, we have 4 steps that we follow to help you with your listing appointments. And here's the thing. We call it a listening appointment and not a listing appointment. And the reason is because it's all about listening. When I first started as an agent, I would lean forward and I would present the entire time. I would talk maybe 90% of the meeting, and the seller would talk 10%. Well, then there was a day where I was meeting with a friend of mine named Keith Gilmore, and he suggested that I ask more quality questions during my listing appointment so that I can better serve the seller. I wasn't asking any questions. I was just going in there. I was kind of as a know-it-all, and I just would go in there and explain everything that they need and the reason that they should be hiring me as their agent. And I just talked about how great I was and all the services that I provide. And really, I just kind of thought they would be a fool if they didn't list with me. And that was my approach. And I would see the seller's eyes just kind of glaze over. Like I was over there yapping about how great I am, and they're over there worried about their challenge and worried about something about how they're going to sell the home and what about the old roof that I have. And they got all of their own concerns, and they're not there to listen to me talk about how great I am. And so I flipped the script. and I started asking quality questions. It starts out with a questionnaire before the appointment, and that questionnaire gives me so much insight on the seller situation, their dreams, their worries, what they're concerned about, what they're thinking about for pricing, what they like and don't like about other listings and marketing, and what they're looking for marketing for their home, what their expectations are. It covers so much. And by asking these quality questions, you can then go to the listing appointment and best serve them. And so we get to the listing appointment and we ask even more questions. So we've got the questionnaire in the very beginning, and then we get to the kitchen table and we've got more questions that we ask them. One of my favorite questions, and again, all of these are in the PDF, but one of my favorite questions is to ask, is there something that they are concerned about? Is there, in the whole process of moving, is there something that you're concerned about, something that's keeping you up at night? And I'm telling you, when you ask this question and they respond and they're vulnerable and they share their worries and their fears with you, there's an emotional connection. And that emotional connection pretty much signifies that you're their agent. It really is amazing when that happens. You can also ask questions like, have you worked with another agent before? And if so, how did it go? A question like that is going to give you so much insight on what that seller is thinking and what their expectations are so that you can match it. All right. So you're going to get there. You're going to get right to the kitchen table. This is super important. I used to get to the listing appointment and they'd ask me if they want to sit down first or go on a tour. And I would always used to be like, I don't know, whatever you think, I'm fine with whatever. And that's the wrong answer. So I highly suggest that you sit down at the kitchen table first, because then you're going to keep asking those questions. And then another question that you're going to ask at the kitchen table that is going to really help set up the rest of the appointment and the tour. And that question is when I take a tour of your home next, I just want to make sure that I have your permission to be 100% honest with you. And this question is gold, because as you're touring the home, you may run into some Pepto-Bismol pink walls and some really cluttered walls and some cluttered rooms. You're going to have to give them honest advice to get them ready to sell this home. And if you're not careful, you can easily insult them when you're giving this advice. If you're anything like me, I'm kind of like a bull in a china cabinet. I just know what the house needs in order for it to get sold. And so I just give that advice. And I know that there's been some times where I've insulted sellers. So I ask them for their permission now. Ask them for their permission to make sure that I can be 100% honest with them, and they're going to be okay with that. And here's the thing. Most sellers remember this question. And when you're giving them advice, they'll even drop it in there and say, hey, Neil, remember, you got my permission to be honest with me. What do we really need to do here? So when you ask them this question, do I have your permission to be 100% honest with you? It's going to help you better serve them throughout the entire transaction. Okay. So now you've asked questions, you've got the questionnaire, you've got all that information. You're going to verify more of that. There's probably some follow-up questions that you're going to have after they complete that questionnaire. Then you've got the questions for the kitchen table. It's then after that, you're going to present a little bit. Now, you got to be careful when presenting your marketing presentation, because you can easily lose the seller. So keep it pretty short and sweet. And by now, you've asked questions to understand what's most important to them when it comes to marketing your home. So you can highlight those areas. Let's say that they say, I want professional photos, I want a drone video, and I want professional staging, right? You can highlight all of that in your marketing presentation and say, hey, this is what we cover for that, this is what we cover for that, without having to bore them with all of the details. All right. And remember, they've already got your marketing presentation. If you emailed it, they've already seen it and maybe already have read over it. Right. So it's not like you've got to go page by page by page. You just don't want to take up a lot of time here, because you're going to bore the seller with it. All right. So you've got those steps done now. You've got the questionnaire done. You've asked questions at the kitchen table. You've gone over your marketing presentation. It's now you want to get up and go tour that home. And so go on a tour of that home. And while you're touring that home, give them all kinds of advice. Give them staging advice and things that they should do to get ready to list. Just pour out the advice. At this point, they're seeing you work, right? They're seeing your talents and your abilities that you have to help sellers. They're They're seeing this by you giving to them. So as you're walking through the home, give them a bunch of advice. Then after the tour, and also during that tour, ask a lot of questions, like get the details on everything and take a ton of notes. So just go through the home, ask them, when did they remodel this? What's the age of the furnace? What's the age of the AC? When did you put the new roof on it? All of the details you could possibly get, and get them all into a list. Just one question after another, notes after notes. I mean, pages of notes if you can. The more notes, the better. All right. Now, after that, go back to the kitchen table and go over pricing. And this is what you want to, in going over pricing, you want to arrive at the price together. So don't have a CMA that you just slap down the price and you say, this is the price. You want to arrive at the price together. Now, remember, you have what they're already thinking for pricing in that questionnaire. So let's say in the questionnaire, they put down that they think they want to list and sell the house for $350,000. And you've pulled up a bunch of comparables, and boy, that seems a little bit on the high side, but we'll see. Okay. So you've got a bunch of active comparables. You've got some sold comparables, but the sold comparables is just showing the data in the past. The active is where we're in current competition, right? So you're going to have both active and sold. And then what I recommend is penciling them all up, marking them all up with adjustments. So if your house has 2,000 square feet and you're comparing it to a house that has 2,500 square feet, it should have a price adjustment. That house is bigger, right? But let's say you got 4 bedrooms and they only have 3 bedrooms. What's the difference there, right? So you should do price adjustments and then go over each comparable. And you say, hey, I understand that you want to get $350 for your home. Well, this one here helps us. This one here sold for $340, and yours is larger and has a 3-car garage, and they only have a 2-car garage, right? So that $350 is going to work according to this comparable. But we look at this comparable here. This one hurts us. This one sold for $320. It's a little bit smaller than yours, but it really brings your value down to $330. This one here helps us. This one hurts us. This one helps us. This one hurts us. And go through all of the comparables. And then at the end of going through those comparables, ask them, so now that we've looked at all of this data, what would you like to list and sell your house for? All right. And then just be quiet. Let them answer what they want to list and sell for after going through all of that data. Now, if they want to list on the high side, let's say they want to list 350 or 360, and you're like, boy, this is really going to overprice this home. I would then at that point, I would not disagree with them, right? Because that's the worst thing you can do, is disagree with what the seller wants. But instead, what you can do is help the seller help you. All right. So a couple things here. The first one is you want to explain the 3 different pricing models. You can list your property at retail, where if you think about retail, everything is shiny and glossy and perfect. And then the price is a little bit higher, right, for retail. But if it doesn't sell, what happens in retail? It goes on sale. Right? And the price comes back down. So with retail, we can price high, but we got to make sure that we perfect this house so that this house just shines and it is perfect. So like every little thing that we kind of like, should we fix that or not? Or what should we do? All of those things should get fixed. It should be retail. It should be perfect. Then if it doesn't sell quickly, you need to do the price reduction. You need to put it on sale. Okay. So that's retail. The next category is fair. So this is where you kind of price it. You're not going to go with that high price of maybe $350 or $360. Maybe we would price it at $340 or $330. And we wouldn't fix everything. We would have a nice house. We obviously want to stage and have great photos, but we're not going to get to the details and make sure that it's like retail detail. We're just going to, not perfect the home, but make the home nice. Right? And just keep the pricing fair. Then the third option is auction, where you price it really low and you hope to drive up the offers. All right. So those are the 3 different pricing models. So if the seller wants to price high, explain the retail technique to them so that, hey, if we go high on this, if we go 350, 360, we need to make sure we replace that carpeting. We need to make sure we put that new front door in. We need to make sure that we paint that room that's Pepto-Bismol pink, right? We're going to go through a list of things that we need to do to perfect this home so that we can get retail pricing. All right. So you explain all of the three different pricing models to them. And then the other thing that's important to them, if they want to price high, a great question to ask them is around the appraisal. You have to explain that we're going to have to sell this house twice, once to a buyer. And if that buyer is obtaining a mortgage, which in today's current market, about 60 to 70% of buyers obtain a mortgage. So if the buyer is obtaining a mortgage, we're going to need to sell it twice to an appraiser. So if you want to price high, we need to make sure we have our comparables ready. And so when we're met with the appraiser, we've got to make sure that we have comparables that show the appraiser that this is why the pricing is where it's at, right? We have to sell it twice, once to a buyer and once to an appraiser. So what comparables are we going to use to support the 360? Because right now I don't have anything. Right now, the highest one I've got that supports at 350, but I don't have anything. So you can explain to the seller those two different scenarios. One is the retail, and one is we got to get ready for the appraiser. All right. So now you've arrived at the price together. It's not your opinion versus their opinion. And here is a story of where I lost. I had a past client. I helped them buy it years earlier, and now they're ready to sell this house. And they wanted to get $375 for the home, and I had no comparables to support that. The highest I had actually was like a $330 or $340. So I had no idea where they were coming up with this price. And I'm an honest guy, right? I just told them, like, hey, I think somebody's misleading here. The other agent that told you could get $375, I don't see any comparables that support that, and I just don't want to mislead you. I'll list it for whatever you want me to list it at, but I just don't believe that it's going to sell at $375. And that's how I lost the listing. She loves me. She loved my service. She thinks I'm a great agent, but she told me that she now realizes that I don't believe that it'll sell at $375. And if that's the case, there's no chance that it'll sell at $375. And so she decided to go with the other listing agent for $375. Now, we all know how this went, right? We know that it did sell for $375. They did a price reduction of $360 and then down to $350, and then it expired, and she ended up listing with me at $330, and we ended up selling it quickly. All right. So, it was one of those that I lost the listing for 6 months. And I was devastated. I couldn't believe it. And it was only because of the way that I structured it, right? If we would have arrived at the price together, and if I would have said, hey, we've got to also get ready for the appraisal, what comparables are going to work for that? If I would have handled that different, instead of slapping down my price and acting like my price was written in stone and it's the only way to go, I made a mistake, because it was me versus her. It was actually me versus her and the other agent. Right. And the cool part of the story is eventually she listed with me and it all came around. But just to show you, I lost the listing from a client, a raving fan of mine, didn't list with me because she realized that I didn't believe in that price. So don't make that mistake. Arrive at the price together and it goes over much better. All right. So now that we've got the price, I write the price down on the listing contract. I get out the listing timeline worksheet. So we have a worksheet that we use with our sellers to go over all of the steps that we need to take. When is the sign going to get installed? When are we doing photos? When is the staging going to be done? When is that new carpeting going to get installed? Like, everything has to have a deadline, because everything falls in after those deadlines, right? Like we can't do photos until it's staged, right? And so, but we also, when do we want to put the sign in the front yard? And when do we want to do the exterior drone and all of the exteriors? And do we want to do coming soon? Do we want to do open houses? All of these questions need to have yes or no answers to them, but then they also have to have dates by them and deadlines by them. So we do a listing checklist or listing timeline worksheet to go over this with the seller, and then we sign the listing paperwork. All right. So those are the steps to follow. Again, start out with that questionnaire. Get every question that you can get answered, and really set the expectation with the seller. Understand what's important to the seller. Then go to the listing appointment and get to the kitchen table and ask more questions there. Then briefly go over your marketing plan. Then begin the tour. Take a bunch of notes on the tour. Get back to the kitchen table, go over the pricing, and arrive at the price together, and then begin to fill out the listing paperwork. And those are the steps. So if you're a brand new agent, all you got to do is ask questions, right? Like the marketing plan and all of that, you can kind of limp your way through that and make that better throughout the days. And of course, we have a plan for all of Agent Rise members. You can use our marketing plan. You get that marketing plan, and then you can start to step into these listing appointments, and you're going to get one listing after another with confidence. We've got all of this in a PDF. You can grab everything that I talked about, all of the questions, everything that you need. Go ahead and text the word listing to 833-500-1135. Again, the word listing to 833-500-1135. The other really awesome thing with this new texting feature that we just invested in is that if you have a question for me, any question, whatever it might be, anything that I can help you with, you can text those questions to this number and I'll reply to you. Again, the number 833-500-1135. Text me any questions you have, and I'll be sure to get right back to you. Thanks again for listening. I hope you have a great day. And like always, remember to be the reason somebody smiles today.